Good morning. My name is Lisa Raiju Kessler, and I am representing the Ecumenical Buddhist Society of Little Rock for our Saturday morning 30-minute meditation. Today I'm visiting my son in Providence, Rhode Island, and it looks like it's going to be a really pretty day. It's kind of cold, but sun is shining right now, and hopefully it won't get too windy. So we'll see. Hope to spend a lot of time outside. So I wanted to continue our meditations on nature. And it was interesting. What's on my mind is yesterday I met a friend in Concord, Massachusetts, which isn't very far from where my son lives, less than an hour drive. And we went to Walden Pond. So you're probably familiar with Henry David Thoreau and his book Walden. And I just wanted to mention a little bit. There's an interesting story behind that I didn't really know. And that is that Henry David Thoreau grew up and lived with his family in Concord, Massachusetts, which is a really cute little town. Of course, it's been fixed up. There were some other famous people, writers that lived there, and it's kind of a little tourist town, but it's really cute. And when he went to live at Walden Pond, I think he was around 28 years old. And he built a little, very small cottage and lived there for 2 years and 2 months. One of the things that was particularly interesting to me is that the cabin was only 1.5 miles from his family home. So I've always thought of it as someplace he went deep into the woods, far away from others, and actually he could have walked to his family home in under an hour. But the important thing about what Thoreau did while he was there, famous book, but that he really communed with nature on such a deep level. And in his writings, he talks about awareness. And what he talks about really reminds me of when we talk about mindfulness or being in the present moment. He talks about just really delving into all the very minute things around us in nature that we don't even really need to sort of meditate on, all of those things that are around us that are not man-made. And so I just thought, continuing the theme of being in nature and appreciating our natural world, I thought I'd just have that as a theme for our meditation today. And so as we get started, I just want to read one of his many quotes. I may try to read a few more at the end of the meditation. But he says, we need the tonic of wilderness at the same time that we are earnest to explore and learn all things. We require that all things be mysterious and unexplorable, that land and sea be infinitely wild, unsurveyed and unfathomed by us because unfathomable. We can never have enough of nature. So there's one sentence in there, kind of confusing to me, but a little bit, I think, hard to interpret every word. But the important thing being here is that he says we can never have enough of nature. So let's just sit with that as we meditate for about 20 minutes. I'm sitting inside. I could have tried the internet outside, but to see if it worked, but there'd probably be a lot of background noises. So I'm just sitting here, but I'm gonna kind of bring my mind perhaps in line with nature, perhaps as I start my meditation, visualizing how I am part of this natural world. You know, as humans, we have separated ourselves out so much from the natural world, but we're really part of it. And the important thing being that, you know, we cannot exist without it. And we often forget that we need the natural world. So as we just consider that, perhaps you can visualize, you know, a flower or trees out in the wilderness, maybe a stream that you're familiar with. Just kind of starting to consider how you enjoy communing with nature. As we just get comfortable in whatever seated position you have chosen. I'm sitting on a cushion on the floor with my legs crossed in front of me. My back is straight and strong, and I can allow the front of my body to be soft and open my heart to whatever comes up for me. Just breathing in and breathing out. Noticing any place in my body I might be holding tension. For me, that's often in my jaws. That may be true for you. Or perhaps the neck, or sometimes we push our eyebrows together when we're trying to concentrate and focus. We're not focusing that hard. We're just relaxing into this process. Just breathing normally in and out, in and out. And perhaps considering the oxygen that we bring into our body and where that comes from. And having that oxygen depends on the trees around us, the plants. We breathe out carbon dioxide, which feeds the plants. They breathe out the oxygen that feeds us. Considering how, no matter where we're sitting, ultimately we're connected to the ground below us, the dirt, the little critters that live in that dirt, connected to the plants and the trees. Considering how everything on earth is ultimately connected to each other. And how we all depend on each other. Breathing in, breathing out. And now we'll just settle in silently together for several minutes. Just relaxing and being present to whatever comes up. And so we just continue sitting together, noticing thoughts come up and thoughts fade away. Just returning our attention to our breath, just breathing, being present as we sit together. And so if you find your mind wandering, all we do is bring it back, bring our attention back to the breath. Just breathing in and breathing out. This brings us back to the present moment so that we can continue to sit still and to still our mind. And so as our time together starts to come to an end, I have a couple of more quotes that I found of Thoreau's that just seem particularly meaningful to me as we practice being in the present. So he says, "You must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment. Fools stand on their island of opportunities and look toward another land. There is no other land. There is no other life but this." And then he goes on to say, "What lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are tiny matters compared to what lives within us." So just a little bit of food for thought. I'd like to dedicate our time together to our connection with nature and how we can enjoy nature simply by being in its presence, by really looking deeply into the nature around us and just enjoying that.